1460 WVOX.
Stay tuned now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
All right, hey, Racing for Heroes fans, it is October 29th, Friday. We're here on WVOX 1460 AM and worldwide on WVOX.com. We've a pretty exciting show today. We have a guest who's been here before, but we're going to be talking a little bit about what he's done as a living. So our first guest is Dana McDuff. He's calling out from the West Coast. Dana, how you doing, man?
Good. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Listen, I wanted to remind our listeners that you are a Navy veteran, right?
Yeah, I was in 74 to 77.
Gotcha.
On board the USS Fox.
The mighty Fox, the cruiser Fox. That was like a new ship back then too. So like that was like a cool ship to be on back in the day.
It was. She was a beauty, absolute beauty.
Yeah, it's because it's like the Leahy class was kind of my recollection, and I always really liked the lines on that ship because they had like that really hard chine up on the bow. I think that just made it look extra cool. So good seakeeping ship too, because I remember sort of the last of the Leahys going away when I was on active duty.
I went through 2 typhoons on her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's not fun. That's never fun.
So we put a chair on the fantail, and we were getting like 60-foot waves, and the captain had to come over the 1MC and yell at us, "Get off the fantail."
Yeah, but that's always the coolest thing. It's like when you're in heavy weather, you go up to the bow, and when the ship gets to the top of the wave, you jump in the air. So I did that one time, and I'll never do it again. But I jumped in the air, and it must have been like solid 10-foot waves. It was enough that it was serious. And of course, the ship drops out from below you, and you're falling with the ship. And then it starts to like get caught, and you eventually catch up. Like I landed hard one time. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. And I've seen other ones where like the ship, it starts to fall below, but it kind of slides. So like you're not exactly landing where you jumped,
right?
Which is I think a little more scary because you could end up over the side pretty quick. But
sure.
Anyway, good Navy tricks for all you landlubbers out there that don't understand any of this. But listen, Dana, so glad to have you on the show. And how's your driving going out of the West Coast? You're going to be going like a cross country trip? It's kind of a recollection.
Yeah, I'm retiring next year, so my Lotus is still being finalized and built, and so that's not going to happen for another year. But I'm really seriously looking forward to that. Gotcha.
Well, we're looking forward to it too. So obviously, and hopefully you'll have an RFH sticker on the car while you're driving around country. So because you're part of the team here. Hey, so but what our listeners, I kind of briefed them on this morning, was that you in fact were prop master and are a prop master in the movies, and we would have a chance to kind of talk about things like props and maybe even what kind of maybe went wrong. I know it's still an evolving situation with the Alec Baldwin Rust movies set.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a week for everybody in the movie business. We're trying to do a negotiation for our union right now for a new contract, and this kind of puts a big damper. It puts a big damper on the whole prop world. It's just the most tragic thing ever.
Yeah, it's and of course there's always new information being released, kind of piecemeal, but it sort of seemed to me like even today I was listening to 880 here in New York, and they were talking about that they may have been using the guns that they used in the gun that Alec Baldwin was using for target practice earlier in the day with live ammunition, which just seems absurd to me that something like that could even occur.
Yeah, well, certainly in Hollywood where I work, I've never heard of anybody doing that. And prop guns, there's 3 different types. One is a real weapon.
Okay.
One is a replica, and one is rubber. We will always put a rubber or a replica for a rehearsal, and never put a real gun in. an actor's hand if it's not going to be fired during the scene. Certainly, and there's another couple points. One is a semi-automatic weapon are plugged so that the blank, when it shoots, the gas will make it cycle.
Oh, sure. Okay, that makes sense. Right.
But on a revolver, there's no plugs in the gun, so you could possibly use a real live round, bullet. I've put weapons in people's hands. I'm an armorer as well as prop master.
Okay, so you totally get this, right?
Yeah, and as I say, it's completely rocked the prop world. Nobody ever has real rounds on set. We have to take classes in this. The funny thing is, or it's not funny, but Hollywood and New York, we have to take classes. We have to pay a lot of money to join the union. It's very hard to get in the union. But third area, which is anywhere that's not Hollywood or New York, they don't have to take classes. They don't have to take gun classes. And you can work as a grip one day, or a hairstylist, or makeup the next day, or a sound
sound guy
the next day. So it's all encompassing third area, not in Hollywood, not in New York.
That's crazy. So, yeah. So I mean, it's literally the Wild West, right? I mean, to a degree, right?
It is correct.
Yeah. Because let's take a kind of a step back. So because I think that when people kind of look at this, up until the other day, the last major incident was with Brandon Lee, which was like a bizarre situation. And maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
I don't know that much about it. I know that a projectile was lodged in the barrel from a previous scene or a previous shot. I don't know. And then they put a blank in it, and it dislodged the projectile, which came out and
it's crazy,
killed us.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that even when that happened, it had an impact on the industry, such that controls were put in place. So that's why it seemed just bizarre that what happened out in New Mexico, I mean, obviously dynamic situation right now, but even occurred in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are protocols in place. I mean, I have to have entertainment firearms license from Department of Justice, the California Department of Justice. Now, I don't know about New Mexico, but and I don't know if the prop master / armor is licensed in New Mexico or whatever. I don't know that. All I can talk about is doing it in Hollywood. Now, I'll go to Atlanta or Boston or wherever, but I take my protocols with me.
Yeah, because procedures are procedures, right? So let me ask this question. So I mean, typically, like on a set that you've been on, and you've used handguns, and whether it be a replica or the real deal, what responsibility does the actor have? I mean, is the actor going through like the same clearing procedures we would see, or do they just tend to just accept the weapon and then that's that?
It can happen both ways. I always show, okay, so what happens is, as an armor / prop master, I will take the weapon, I will show the weapon to the first assistant director.
Okay.
The first assistant director, then the set is mine. If I have live gunfire going on, I own the set. I am the master of the set. I say, anybody who wants to see the gun, come up. I tell them what kind of gun it is. It's a rubber gun, it's a replica, or it's a real weapon. There's going to be live fire. I tell them what kind of load we're going to use, and I show the camera. The camera people are always near the gunfire, so we provide them with face shields and earplugs, and and we'll cover the camera with a furniture pad, and and we do it as safely as possible. We show the actor, this is what happens. This is how you work it.
Mhm.
This is, and we show them, we put the load in front of them, hold it, say the gun is hot, and roll sound.
Okay.
And then it happens.
Now, but that's, and all that is, even with a blank, because even a blank round, has a certain amount of blast area.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we never shoot at the camera or at an actor. We're always 20 degrees away, but we line the camera up so it looks like we're shooting at the actor.
Huh.
If we shoot at the camera, we have to be a certain distance away from the camera, and we will do a lock off, turn the camera on, the camera people run away from the camera,
and it just runs.
Then we shoot.
Yeah, which would make sense. I think there's any like reasonable person. I mean, my kids could have come up with that plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to make light of this. I mean, don't get me wrong. So now, can you give us an example of like, something that you saw on set? Like, have you? I mean, you've done this type of work before, right?
Yeah.
And any particular like notable ones, like a actor like just didn't quite understand it, or like kind of the remedial stuff. I mean, anything like that.
Well, yeah. One thing happened. We rented I was on a show, and we rented some weapons from a guy who owned a gun store,
mm-hmm.
and he provided all the weapons. I provided the blanks for the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, he dropped when we were just getting ready to shoot. We hadn't rolled camera yet, and he dropped his weapon, and it went off.
Oh boy!
Yeah. And that's funny because he owned the gun store. He owned all the guns.
Yeah, because I mean, these things can happen to any one of us. I mean, it's kind of one of those kind of things.
Well, it is. I mean, we're humans, and we make mistakes, but we try and alleviate those mistakes by keeping those protocols that we do day in and day out. We don't venture away from those.
Yeah, no, I mean, the stakes are high. I mean, obviously people can get injured, and what happened the other day was, I think indicative of the seriousness of the nature of this. So anyway, but any other interesting tidbits though on like the set and stuff like that? Because I think, because I even think about like movies like Last of the Mohicans, where like Magua throws that big huge axe thing, like even that must have some sort of protocols to it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We live in the land of make believe.
Yeah.
And we can fake anything. We really can. And we use a weapon called a non-gun, which is like a cap gun. It makes a little snap, and it's got a load, and it shoots a little bit of flame out.
Ooh, that's cool.
but there's no projectile at all. And we use those all the time.
Yeah.
We use airsoft as well with a thing called green gas, which is like a CO2 that cycles the slide on an automatic.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Dana, listen, I'm so sorry. We are at the end of your segment, but listen, I'm going to have you back though again sometime soon. We'll talk more about this. But anyway, listen, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much. And our next guest is already on the line. He is a Marine. It is Raymond Lott, otherwise known as the Marine Rapper. And he served in the U.S. Marine Corps in the public affairs role, in particular, combat journalist within an infantry battalion. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. But we'll also be talking about his recently released music that's out there right now, and you can listen to. So Raymond, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Listen, we're doing great. And I will tell you that as I was leaving for the studio today, my kids they're still doing the homeschool thing here in New Rochelle, but they were like, Dad, like play the little piece of that song on the radio. We're going to do it in a little bit, but I just want you to know, like, you already got 2 new fans here in New Rochelle, New York. So,
well, tell them I said thank you and much love.
I will. I will. They also had questions like what your thoughts were on Kanye West recently released material, but I told them that we would talk about it offline. So
yeah, we can definitely do that for sure.
Yeah, they're excited about Donda. I think it was like the one they were particularly jazzed about. But anyway,
yeah, me too.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I'll tell them that they'll have a good time with that. Hey, so you served in the U.S. Marine Corps as a combat journalist, like Eddie, the back in World War II. Like that. That's amazing. Like journalists embedded with the infantry battalion. Tell us about that.
Yes, that's correct. Well, being attached to infantry battalion was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my life, because I was able to, get a perspective from the quote unquote front lines. In Iraq and Afghanistan, there's no like front line because it's kind of like, urban warfare in some places and stuff, and desert warfare.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very rewarding experience, because most of our time over there was doing a lot of humanitarian assistance and providing clean water and resources to the local populace, because they didn't have that healthcare and they didn't have like toys and stuff. So we hand out soccer balls and we give medical support, and some of the children didn't have different like books and writing and pencils and things like that. So we got to do things like that.
Yeah, it's like civil affairs type work, basically.
Yeah. So we did. So like as a combat reporter, what I did from a day-to-day basis would always change, because sometimes I would be in a helicopter, we'd do an air mission, and sometimes I'd be on ground. Sometimes I'd be mounted, which is on a vehicle. So I'd be inside of a Humvee, or I'd be in a 7-ton truck. So it always varied from day to day, but my favorite stuff was the things that we got to do when we were actually able to interact and integrate within the local populace, because that's the reason why we're there. We're there to protect them and to provide support, and so they can focus on building their infrastructure better, and leave all the other stuff up to the Iraqi police or the Afghan National Army and stuff like that. So I love doing that type of stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
We got a couple of conflicts,
because I used to read the about like Ernie Pyle in World War II. I mean, he obviously got killed in over in Iwo Jima, but like that sort of stuff, like that's just like amazing, where you're embedded in this action and it's kind of going around you, but like you're just doing journalist work. Like, it's just incredible.
It's surreal. It's surreal. I would honestly say it's surreal, because imagine you're getting shot at, but your job is to take pictures at the same time. So it's like, what do I pull up first? Do I pull up my rifle or do I pull up my camera?
Camera every time. Right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, no, the answer is your rifle. The answer is your rifle, but you make sure that everybody's good to go. And then once it's, stable and stuff like that, and you're able to do something, then you try to get a couple shots in between after you get cover and stuff like that. But a good leader always told me it's always your rifle. And that's why I'm still here.
Yes, sir. Well, you figured at some point someone would have got like a camera that sit on the rail system so that we would have been able to use it in the field.
Yeah.
But
that would be funny. I would love to actually see a camera with like a bullet lodged in it.
That'd be amazing. It saved my life. That's great. Hey, so how did you get into rap though? Like that's like a completely different world. I mean, we just had Dana McDuff on, which Dana didn't say anything, but he was on Heartbreak Ridge as one of the prop masters there, with Mario Van Peebles, who has a whole, he was like a rapper there. I mean, that's not your inspiration, obviously, but tell us about that. How did you get into that?
Well, since you already said it, I'll just go on to my inspirations and then tell you how I got into rap. Well, inspirations is like Ice-T, because Ice-T's Army, definitely Shaggy because he's a Marine. And
wait, Shaggy was a Marine?
Yeah, Shaggy was. Yeah.
The sound engineer is bobbing his head up and down.
Yeah, the guy who's saying it wasn't me. The guy who said it wasn't me he's a Marine. Yeah, and Ice-T's Army and MC Hammer's Navy. So I like studied all these, and Nate Dogg was Marine too. And so like I studied all these people, on my journey trying to figure out what I want to do. And when I decided it was rap, it was easy transition, strangely, because I'm still telling stories. I'm still telling stories of my Marines and people that I serve with, but I'm just doing it on a different medium. So I'm doing it on an audio medium opposed to just journalism. And then I'm making it rhyme and sound good and stuff like that. So I feel like it's kind of like the same. I feel like I am a journalist of sorts, to this day. It's just in a different way. It's just more personal and it's more current, and it's more just flashier. But I'm still doing the same thing because, and I always try to, in all my music and all my hip hop music, I try to memorialize the fallen troops, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
For sure.
Like literally, because they gave their life for me and stuff like that. And there's like lots of situations where I was on a 14-hour patrol. There's situations where they said, hey, take a rest day. And that rest day, one of the guys got killed in the same truck I would have been in.
Yeah.
Things like that happen. And God was definitely looking after me. Situations where IDs went off, but it was just in front of me opposed to like on me and stuff like that. So I just feel very fortunate for being able to still be here and able to talk to you right now. So I also translate those journalism skills within my music today. So it's kind of the same, but to kind of also reinforce and answer your question of how I got into hip hop music, I've always been into music, but it was never hip hop music. It was always rock music, because as a kid, I always did skateboarding. So, and I grew up, I was born in Newark, New Jersey, but kind of like by New York.
Yeah.
But since I'm a military brat, I ended up going to San Diego. And when I went to San Diego, I got involved with a lot of the alternative and skateboard culture.
Was your dad like Navy, or was he
Marine?
Marines. Okay.
Marine.
Okay. Gotcha.
All males in my family,
have been older ones,
Marines, lots of Marines.
Gotcha.
So I'm another generation.
It's like a Semper Fi Mac family right there.
Yeah, all Semper Fi, Semper family, all that type of stuff.
I love it.
And it wasn't something that I wanted to do initially because I wanted to do music, because I was like a young kid skateboarding into rock music, because where I was from in San Diego County, it was a neighboring city of Tony Hawk. So we all skateboarded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Imagine like the next city over, Tony Hawk's there. We had the DC factory, the DC shoes. We always got the DC shoes for cheap.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I grew up in the alternative culture. So when you listen to my rap music, you'll hear a little rock edge to it. It's because I'm a rock kid. Like I love rock music.
Well, having said that, and we're getting close on time here, I want to play a little bit of your most recent song, which has a crossover between racing and
exactly.
So wait, I'm gonna play a little bit of it. So go ahead. Wait, I heard Earnhardt in there. So tell us about the song. What is it?
So the song that I just dropped is called "Let's Go, Brandon." It's basically, a play off of the most recent meme that they made about the president.
Right.
It's kind of a way to say it's a euphemism. So if you know, you know.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah, you just have to look it up. I won't say it on radio, but if you know, you know. But we wanted to actually, kind of just have fun with the euphemism and hype people up, and also give a shout out to NASCAR and Dale Earnhardt and all the people who came before in the racing before Brandon Brown, just to give a good tune for people to work out and jam out to, and also kind of address what's going on in the world, because me and my music team, we Topher and D-Cure and my label Military Musician,
gotcha.
We always try to focus on current events and also carry on the legacy of the veterans and military, as well as just give a nod to people who we're talking about. So that's why we brought up Earnhardt and Brandon Brown and stuff like that, because we wanted to just show some love and have fun. And
it was good.
Everything's so serious these days, so we just wanted to make a track to have fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, my colleague who's on the show right after me was in the sound studio. You can't see it obviously because it's on radio, but he was in there dancing to your song. So, and he's a pretty straight-laced guy, so success right there.
Oh wow! Tell him I said thank you.
I will. I'll see him just before he comes on. But listen, because I think that the important thing is and I was talking to the other day. Our theme song comes out of really Operation Encore, which is another nonprofit that helps veterans get into the music business. And a lot of it, when you really peel back the onion, whether it's Racing for Heroes in the work we do, or Operation Encore and all these other kind of groups like Save 21, et cetera, it's really about bringing some sort of catharsis. And then you're doing it through, in your case, your music, in our case, it's working on race cars and, helping veterans get into that world. So I think that it's really important that you're out there and you're making such a difference.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so if you guys want to use that song or play that song, you have my permission.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to add something into the Racing for Heroes show. I think it'll be awesome. Hey, listen, but we are in the last minute of our show. Real quick, if people want to look you up, where do they go?
If you want to look me up, you can find me everywhere at The Marine Rapper. Again, you can find me everywhere at The Marine Rapper. Just type in The Marine Rapper and you can find all my socials. The military taught me to keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. So that's what I'm going to do. Check me out at The Marine Rapper.
Well, Raymond, we are so proud to have you on the show. I'm so excited to see a Marine out there just doing the work and, having such a good time and, bringing a smile on my face. Like I said, the fact that Jeff's in there dancing around, I think just really made my day regardless.
That's awesome. Hey, shout out to Jeff.
All right. Well, thanks so much, man.
Shout out to all of you guys too. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks so much. And all you Racing for Heroes fans, we will be back next week as we go into November, which is Veterans Month. And again, that was Raymond Lott, the Marine Rapper. So with that, we will leave you with our theme song from The Real Doug Lane, a little further down the road. Thanks so much, everyone.
It's just a little farther down the road.